Hello everyone, this is the Nurse Witch. I am back with another video. So I'm going to be talking about the different kinds of divination that you can use as a Wiccan, as a witch. So, when I first started out in my path all those years ago, there really wasn't a lot of divination methods out there that you could learn. Or else the shop I went to seriously was lacking in funds. I never saw runes before in my entire life until probably about 15 years ago, which is shocking because I used to get Azura Green's catalog all the time. That was back when it was free, and you'd have to pay $2 for it. Yes, I lived in such wonderful golden times. Um, um, and so I sort of didn't pay attention to what they had as a form of divination method. I was really into the tarot card. I still am. I have the Modern Witch Tarot, which I actually will show you guys my Modern Witch Tarot along with the other decks that I have. I've got several of them. I do not use... there's actually one I do not use all the time or hardly at all that I bought last year and maybe did one reading. But it's a very interesting deck, and I'm going to definitely show it to you guys. So, the different forms of divination. This is for newbie witches out there. There's tarot, there's oracle, there is candle flame, there is crystal ball, there is let's see here, let me see what else. Oh yes, entrails, which involves sacrificing a victim to the gods, and you read their entrails. That's a form of divination. It was actually performed by auguries, and their job was to do this. You had to have a strong stomach to be one. Yeah. So I'm probably missing a couple of forms of divination, and I'm truly sorry about that. So the most popular form of divination is tarot. And the reason it is so popular, especially among people that are new to the craft, is because of the history of the tarot, and also because it just looks so mystical and magical, and you see people on television using tarot for readings and services. But tarot is a very powerful tool. And there's so many different variations on, like, one of them recommended you sleep with your deck. I did that once. I didn't really feel any different. What I just generally do is just put it on my pinnacle and charge it. So yeah, so you can use tarot. A tarot is, as I said, it's a very old deck. I don't remember what year the first decks came out, but they were a parlor game that the wealthy took part in, which is probably why it was not attacked by the church, because wealthy people were using it, not your poor people or your women are not using it. It is strictly for rich people's enjoyment. And there was people that would spend a lot of money having their own decks done, and these were all hand-drawn and hand-painted, and they were some of the most beautiful examples, and not a lot of them remain. There's various different kinds of tarot decks. There are decks with cats, there's decks with dogs, there's decks based on movies, there's decks based on books, there's decks that are based on the original Rider-Waite tarot, which is what is considered the supreme deck. There are decks that were published by very evil people. There was decks that make no sense. There are decks that definitely make no sense. There's decks that triply make no sense. There's various different kinds of decks of tarot cards. And then, of course, you have the runes. The runes are very ancient. They are older than the tarot by a long time. And the runes were originally used to mark a battle, or to have a piece of mythology that you're lucky enough to have written down. But this is one of my runes, and it's supposedly made of bone. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a very beautiful one. I've had it for a couple of months. I think I bought this from New Age Gifts. I'm not exactly sure. The only thing is it contained the blank rune, which I do not deal with unless it is a replacement rune for one I've lost. Then you have the Ogam. The Ogam is also a form of divination. It is definitely connected with the Celtic cultures. I do not know what originally the Ogam was used for, but it definitely probably was not a form of divination. But it's a beautiful set. I actually have my own. I purchased earlier this year. It's a very beautiful one. They do not include the additional staves because those are not historically accurate. The ones that have like this or like this or like that. Yeah. Then you have divination using tea leaves. I have no clue what it's called. If anybody, because I will share this with you too, pagans. So if anybody can tell me what you call it. Because I know that Sybil Trelawney in the Harry Potter series called it by what it's supposed to be called, but I forgot what she called it. This is basically divining people through their tea leaves. You can also do palmistry, which is kind of a form of divination. You can use, as I said, you can use entrails of animals or humans to divine against the law for the human, not against the law for the animal. Unless you broadcast what you're doing, you don't really have to worry about PETA come and knock at your front door. There is pyromancy. I think that's what they call it that. I know pyro is part of it. That is divination through fire. There's also in the Harry Potter series, not Harry Potter series, but in a fan fiction, Murloc Gaunt goes to Sybil Trelawney's grandmother and she throws bones into the fire, and she discerns Murloc's future through how the bones cracked and what they looked like when they came out. And she had an assistant. I'm pretty sure it was take the bones out. So that's if that kind of divination actually was something that witches did, that's interesting. It was kind of interesting. I read and like, wow, if that's a real form of divination, that's got to be the coolest. And then of course you have the crystal ball, which is another type of tool that you definitely associate with witches. I think there's one where you divine by smoke, and there's another one I believe you divine by water. So there's all these different kinds of forms of divination, both made up, though might have a hint of truth, and one that is established. Another thing that's interesting, if you look at divination, there was an anime called XXX Holic, and Yuko Aichihara is a dimensional witch, and she used a unique form of divination called sand divination. I do not know what it's called in Japan, if it actually does in fact exist, but it was a very interesting form of divination, and it turned out to be the form of a butterfly. But yeah, so there's many different types of divination. Definitely, there are books out there that will tell you about the different forms of divination that is out there, and definitely check them out. I'm currently reading I'm currently reading a book called Moon Spells. I will be giving a review of it when I'm done with it. I know one. I know one person had a nasty review of it, talking about apparently she didn't understand about LGBT people, but this was written like 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, um, LGBTQI people, they didn't have the same rights they have now. Um, yeah. And also, you didn't have a lot of authors 20 years ago that was catering to LGBTQI people. So, yeah. So, from then to now, a lot has changed, but still, it doesn't invalidate the spells that are in the book. But I will be doing a book review of that book when I'm done. I also am going to try to get my hands on a book. It's a guide to self-care. I really need it because I'm under an enormous amount of stress because of COVID. The doctors say it can have an effect on my ability to heal properly. So I am going to be doing a lot more meditation and definitely doing a lot. I'm gonna do divination, and I'm also going to essentially just get the book and try it out and everything. So I hope that helped people out. I will be today later on, especially when that sun kind of moves away. I will show you the decks of tarot cards that I do have or that I can find. So I'll see you guys around to next time. May you be happy, healthy, most importantly be safe, and hail to the gods. Bye.